Hey guys, welcome back to another episode of TalkFlow. In this episode, as you can see, it's episode 23. And today we're going to be talking about 5 lessons that we learned as Webflow agency owners or Webflow freelancers. Um, so yeah, I mean, this one's going to be pretty straightforward. And just as a disclaimer, this is our lessons. We're not kind of like forcing it upon anyone.
Every
And
episode.
this
It's the
is
same.
what we learned for our experience, you know. But this is like, and what I would say is like these lessons might not work for you because you come from a different location, demographic, age, whatever it may, country, whatever it may be, right? So, yeah, I think that's all we have to say for the disclaimer, right?
And
So
also,
let me,
there's no particular order to this, as well as
yeah,
it's just five. I'm sure we learned a lot more than
mm,
five in like the couple of years that we've been doing. And
mm,
because they're trying to keep this a bit short, we're gonna not rush through, but like sort of keep it brief. Maybe if they're more interested, we can do like a whole alt talk episode on like
mm,
everything that we learned, how we learned it, and stuff like that. But yeah,
yeah. Yeah,
let's
and
go.
just another thing before we jump into it is that this is not going to be like technical lessons that we learn. For example,
Yeah,
oh,
yeah. It's
name your
like
classes properly and stuff. It's going to be like business lessons
soft
and like
skills, right? Yeah.
yeah, soft skills, right? Cool. So let's just jump into the first one. And this is like my lesson that I learned, I think, and I think we both learned this lesson is for me one thing that I learned is focus on the things that will have the most impact. And I actually learned this like a couple months ago. I think a lot of people, most of the people already know this, but then again, like I was like one of the people that didn't. But what it was is like what I was doing in the beginning, and I think this falls on under the under procrastination as well. Is that I used to focus on the things that I wanted to do, like things that I enjoyed, rather than I focus on the things that I had to do and the ones that would push my business forward. So just as an example, if I have a client project, right, and the client is being like, they want like 50 million revisions, and like, but also at the same time, I'm working on this cool clonable that I want to do. I in the beginning of my career, I would rather focus on the clonable than the client work because I'm like, you know what, this is more fun. This is what I like doing right now. This is what I enjoy right now. But then what made me realize about all of this is, and I suggest everyone do this, is list down all of the business activities that you're doing. So obviously client work, content, outreach if you're doing that, clonable creation, process building, whatever it may be, right? List all of it down um and then reorder it from most important or most impactful and all the way down to the least impactful. And by impactful, I mean which activity will put you more money, the most amount of money in your pocket. And that's obviously going to be client work, right? Because client work will give you money, and if you do client work properly, if you prioritize it, then you can have a good portfolio piece, and that will churn up that flywheel, and you can get more and more projects, right? So that's what I would say. Like, um, um, you know, list down all the business tasks, prioritize it, and focus on the activities on top of the list. And for me, that was obviously client work and process building and like content and all of that, clonables and content, all of that stuff, right? So yeah, spend most of your time on top of the list, and spend the least amount of your time or like for the activities on the bottom of the list. And what I like to do is work on from the top of the list all the way to the bottom of the list. When I start my day, so right when I start my day, I work from the top of the list down, and that's how I think everyone should do it.
Yeah, and I
That's
think
like the one thing that I did learn.
another spin of the thing we can put in the
Yeah.
title is like I would also say focus on the few things that you want to be good at. Because one
Mm-hmm.
main thing that I did when I got started was like I was doing web design, doing Webflow. I was also like trying to get into coding. I was also doing 3D. I was also doing like package design, logo design. Like I was just doing too much. And luckily I sort of focused on like web design and Webflow a lot more than the others, and just that carried on. But I see a lot of beginners and a lot of freelancers sort of do a lot. Like they in the portfolio they have UI, UX, animation, design,
Mm.
Webflow,
Branding.
3D, branding, logo. And I just look at it, I'm like, if you do all this, you're not gonna be the best at all of this. It's very rare for one person to be the
Jack
best
of
in
all
six
trades.
things.
Yeah.
Yeah, you become a jack of all trades, but not a master in any. And I think the title sort of makes that quite clear as well. Same thing, focus on, if you prioritize the things that you want to do, And let's say, if you're starting out as like a Webflow developer, but you actually think you enjoy design first, put that number one, right? You
Mm,
become a good Webflow, you become a good designer, and then you become a Webflow developer, right? So
yeah,
I think that sort of adds to that lesson that I think I
yeah.
wanted to add as well.
And I think eventually down the line, right? Well, you should obviously you can't hire people or delegate at the beginning of your or when you're first starting out, but down the line, the things that are on the bottom of your list, like for example, for me it was content. Like I think
Yeah,
me
you
it
can you
wouldn't
can
make sense
focus
for
on
me
that
to
later, right? Yeah,
yeah, but if for me, it wouldn't make sense for me to be writing blogs, bro. Like I'm not a blog
yeah,
writer, so like
yeah,
delegate. That's why that was like right on the bottom of my list, and like I
yeah,
delegated that. So like all the tasks and activities in the bottom of your list, just make sure they delegate that.
yeah,
Soon. Later down the line once you can afford it and stuff like that.
yeah.
Cool. So that was the first lesson, and the second lesson is I think both of us really know like the importance of
We've been preaching this
processes.
since we
Yeah.
started. Yeah.
And I think I've actually made a LinkedIn post about this
I
recently.
think this
But
this one
start,
is like,
yeah.
again, you will only listening, because I think we have both seen so many people talk about processes and all this thing, and I've
Mm,
always thought it's just a bunch of, just words and just trying to sound cool. But I think once you start seeing the benefits of it, it's very clear of why people preach it so much, right? It might sound like, damn it, again another process guru and stuff like that, but once you start seeing the benefits of it, it'll
mm,
click. And I think it's just
yeah,
got to start. It's just got to start. Just bite the bullet. Just
yeah,
give it a shot once, and you'll just get hooked on it. But I mean,
yeah. And I
again, it's
think we
also,
mentioned
yeah,
this like so many times as like in previous episodes.
yeah,
Like it doesn't have to be like the most detailed process in the beginning. Like just list out, for example, in your web design process. I think we talked about this in your web design and in the web
yeah,
design process episode, like the importance of building a process.
yeah,
So if you haven't, if you want to know more about processes, just go watch that video. The link should be on the top right somewhere. But like make sure like I think the key point in this lesson is start building processes before you need them, because
yeah,
I think a lot of people make the mistake where they weren't safe, right? They didn't build processes. They only started building processes while they were, while they started getting busy. But then when you're busy with projects, you don't have time to build processes,
yeah,
and then
yeah,
eventually everything comes crashing down. So build processes before you need them, right? Even if you have no projects right now. Another episode that we did make is what you should do in your downtime. So if you don't have any projects right now, a great thing to do is build your processes, even
yeah.
though you
And
don't have any projects
examples
right now.
examples could be, I don't know, if you use Notion,
Web
an
design
example.
process, yeah.
Yeah, like let's list out all the things that you do in a project. Like if you're doing Webflow development, what are the steps? Just imagine your
Mm,
last project. What are the steps that you did? What are the sub tasks that you did within each task, right? And you can easily, that becomes your process. So every time you
mm,
hire somebody, you can be like, hey, look, these are all the things that you need to do. These are all the things that you make sure it's on the project. Or even something like if it's sending proposals, right? You look at your
mm.
template or something and see, or your email, what are the things that you always say, what's in scope, what is out of scope. Put that in a template, and next time you get a lead, you just need to copy and paste it, right? These are like processes where it just
Yeah.
avoids you doing the same thing again and again and again and
Mhm.
again.
Yeah, and I think there's two benefits. Firstly, as a reminder for yourself, you're just so much faster. For example, before you even jump into projects, if you don't have a process, you're like, oh crap, what do I do? Oh, let me try to remember. Oh,
Yeah,
let me do research this YouTube video. What should I do? But then if you have
yeah,
everything written down, all you need to do is just open that document or file or Notion document, read
yeah,
it, and you're ready to go. So, and it's also going to be better for your team. When you start hiring people, all you need to do is send them your process and they'll be familiar with it already and it'll be
yeah,
easy for them to be on board with you. And also you can sell it as a course as well later down the line once you reach a certain level. You can sell that as a course and make money from that. So yeah, that is the second lesson. Start building processes before you need them. Cool. So I would say the third lesson, and I think Vim, you can take over
this
this,
is
is
this is
sort
my
out
favorite.
your pound, dollar sign, and rupee. I mean, sort out your cash, sort out your
Yeah,
money. And I think this
this
is
this
mostly
is
going to do with like taxes, which is like, I hate
this
that. So
is
like,
like my
Vim, you can
favorite.
just hand it.
I,
You can
I've
just hand
become I've bec-
it.
I've become that guy who talks about taxes now
Oh
to my
man,
friends. Just getting old.
I'm just gonna mute you right now, man. I don't want to hear it.
But bro, this I don't know, man. This whole thing of like finance and money and cash flow and all these things is so
Mm,
interesting. And I think not a lot of freelancers actually know about this and take it seriously. So the first one is taxation. I mean, each country is going to be different. The amount of tax you're going to pay. What we're not, again, as every crypto NFT guy say, we are not financial experts. No advice here, but it's always worth, first of all, checking how much tax you're paying. So keeping track of your income, your expenses, trying to see what you can claim as expenses. For example, in the UK, if you're working from home, you can claim part of your electric bill as expenses, part of your water bill as expenses, part of your rent as business expenses. And these are perks that is tax efficient. You cannot say avoid tax. Everybody needs to pay tax, but there are certain rules and certain tips and tricks that you can do to maximize the amount of tax that you pay, as well as get a lot of perks from it, right? And it's a fascinating rabbit hole once you start getting into it. I googled every single thing and just put business expense, taking a flight, business expense, and just try doing this to everything that you buy. If it's for legit business purposes and you can tell somebody like, I'm buying this because I need it for my business, you can put it as your expense. And again, people be like, why, what's this, why not just, just pay whatever tax? Again, it's just so that you maximize how much money you get out at the end of the day, and try to make it more tax efficient. I want to avoid saying anything illegal, but yeah, tax is one thing that everybody should focus on. And also, as freelancers, as you start growing, you start to get a lot more money. I don't know about
mm,
other countries, but in the UK, sometimes after a certain amount of money that you earn, being a freelancer or like a sole trader is not tax efficient. You end up paying more tax than you need to. So then you can transition into a company, a one-person company, which then brings your tax lower and you become a
mm,
corporation. A lot of these technical things we can't get into at the moment, but it's just a fascinating thing just to learn about taxes and all this finance stuff. And another
yeah.
quick thing is you got to also look at cash flow. So cash flow is not how much projects that you're working on, how much money each project is. Cash flow is basically how much is coming in every month, how much is going out every month. Coming in could be from projects that you started 3 months ago or 6 months ago, but if they're only paying you this month, that money counts for this month. So why is this important? A business dies, you might have your revenue could be $100,000, but if your cash flow struggles, your business will die. So if your clients aren't paying on time, if your projects are way too long and you're not structuring your payments in regular intervals, you might run into issues where you cannot pay for your staff, your tools, um, all your other things because your cash flow is restricted. Again, it's getting a bit too technical, but learning how to sort of keep money coming in, maybe through retainers or splitting, instead of 50-50, you can do 50, 25, 25. So that helps you sort of keep getting cash every single month, so that there's no month where it's a huge dip and then the next month you get paid and there's a huge rise. That adds a lot of anxiety, and I think it's very easy to avoid all this unnecessary problems if you just deal with your cash. Did I
Yeah.
bore you?
No, that was, I mean, the tax part, yes, you did, but the rest was all right. But yeah, I mean, I think for me to add on to it, I mean, I don't really want to speak about tax, but in terms of cash flow, cash flow is like, yeah, that's true, and I think it's a bit of OCD that us freelancers have. Like we always talk about, it, isn't it, Vim? Like when you're on, like we use Hello Bonsai, so when a
I
client,
can see the
they're supposed to
graph.
pay you the last, payment, but they
Yeah,
haven't paid in like a week, and then it runs into
yeah,
the next month, and then
yeah,
like that month that is just so low compared to the other one. You're like, oh, only if they paid 1 day earlier, that graph would have been like a
yeah.
nice linear graph.
Nice. Yeah, I know,
But
right? Like you're like, oh, can you just
it's
pay it like
not. There's a
today?
dip. It's like so annoying. But
But like, I think I was
yeah,
wondering, can we do this where we can sort of charge? I don't know whether you used Fiverr before, but you charge them the full amount, but you only take, like, I don't know how they pay for both the amounts at once, but they only get charged at the end of the project. Like, if that sort of makes sense.
Oh, so
Because
like
right,
they put it, oh,
yeah, so
they
it's
put in like
already
a
like
holding
sort of,
company, for example, and then like
yeah, so
you only take it
it's like
out.
it's like Fiverr, right? Like
Yeah,
it's hold in escrow is what it's called. So you
yeah,
technically pay
escrow,
the
yeah,
full
yeah.
amount, but you can always, but it only goes through once the project is done. Because then that will make it so much simpler. Because you can then just be like, is the project done? And they say yes, you can just hit it's done, and the money comes to you immediately, rather than
Mm.
them paying the invoice, deposit and then paying it again, which maybe
Maybe
is
there's
why.
like an escrow and software, but
Yeah, maybe we
you
had to
know.
look into it. I might do it right after this.
Anyway, so that was the third lesson. Sort out your cash, sort out your tax, sort out your cash flow. So
Yeah.
yeah, in the next lesson is keep it stupid simple. And I think what we mean by this is like I think a lot of times us freelancers, we just like overcomplicate the business. Like, oh my god, I need to do this, I need to do
Yeah.
that. But it's just like our businesses are. It's just so it's very very simple, right? And I think everyone who doesn't like, I think all of our entire business can be summarized in 5 steps or like four or 5 steps. And I think Finch, you made a great video about this. There's like 5 steps to every sale, and I'm just gonna link to that in the description. But it's like number one is getting attention, and we do that through like our content. We used to do it through our clonables and your portfolio, your website, whatever. Once you get the attention, you have to sell the client, on a call. So make sure that you have his sales right. You know how to sell. You have all of the assets that you need to in order to sell properly. And then after you sell on a call, you make sure you over deliver on that project, right? So, making sure you over deliver, making sure you're actually good at what you do. And then the last step is, putting that and wrapping that project up in a nice way that can get you more projects. So creating content from that project, putting it on a nice website, creating a case study, all of that stuff. And I personally think those are the 4 steps that summarize our entire business. And I
Yeah.
think a lot of us just make
And
it so complicated, like we need to do this and that. Just think of it as 4 steps, right?
I
Getting
think
attention, all of that stuff.
a simple example is like your own website, your own portfolio site.
Mm,
Like we look at all these designers with like crazy interactive experiences, like websites and stuff like that. But if you just keep it simple, it makes it easier for your clients to check out
hmm.
your project. That's the one thing I see with beginners. Even I was guilty with this, is that I
Yeah.
want to impress like so much that I overcomplicate things, right? Like I
Mm,
put hover animation and like scroll into animation. And but you got to think about it from the client point of view as well. I mean, this is a very basic example. If they're coming to see your work, you got to make it as easy as possible for them to see your work, your prices, your testimonials, you know, keep it simple, right? And I think that's where a lot of beginners sort of, and that comes because you're not confident in the work that you're doing, and you always feel like simple means bad. But sometimes to keep things simple, you need so much experience to make. you
yeah.
look at you look at everyone says like Apple's like, oh, it's so simple, so clean, but the
Yeah.
amount of effort it takes for the site to look that simple takes a lot of effort,
Yeah,
you know
and
so
I think just to add on to that, like what I've noticed is, I think Vim, you also noticed like when I first started out in design, it's crazy. Like obviously I've become better at I've become a better designer,
yeah,
but my designs have become less and less complex.
simpler,
Like it's kind of
yeah,
weird. It becomes simpler.
yeah,
Like
yeah. It's
I don't know
like
how
when
to
when I
explain.
first designed, it's like, oh, I think it's gonna come in from every side. It's
You're gonna
gonna,
do like you're gonna squeeze in
animation
as many
and
interactions and
like
like
button
little stuff
animation. You're
and
like,
all of
what's
that stuff.
something new that we can do? Or it's gonna
Yeah.
come in from the bottom. Nothing. Now the
Yeah.
color just changes. The text color
Yeah.
changes. That's it, right? And that
Mm,
keeps things a lot more cleaner looking and very simple for the user to see.
yeah.
And not just design, but development, even your
Mm,
processes, right? If you're building processes, very easy to sort of automate a lot of things that you don't need to, and that
mhm,
adds up like, oh, I'm just doing so much unnecessary things to trying to keep this process going. But if it's easier just to cut off that process, just do it. Like try to keep
mhm,
even something like expenses, right? It's very easy for us to pay for all these different tools, but you don't even use it. Like, oh, I pay for Notion because I maybe want to use it. No, if you don't use it, cut
mhm.
it off. If you don't use Slack, cut it off. Try to keep things simple, try to keep things lean in any aspect, your design, your business, money, in every part. I think that's what the main thing that we learn is, just keep it simple.
Keep it stupid simple.
It
Yeah.
should be
So
keep it simple, stupid, but
is it?
yeah.
Oh,
It's like keep it simple, comma stupid.
oh, oh, whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so the was it fifth one? Yeah. So the fifth lesson, and I think Vim, this was your lesson, is confidence comes from experience. So why don't you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, this I think both of us could relate. Like an easy example in my case would be sales. Like before every sales call, I physically remember that I sweat. Like I sweat so much,
Yeah.
like my shirt.
Oh, I never used to do that, but fair enough.
It's like before every sales call, like my heartbeat increases, and
Mm.
while on the call, I can feel like my pits are getting so sweaty, and I'm like very uncomfortable in the call. It's because
Yeah.
I'm so nervous, and I
Mm.
and I don't, and I'm very not confident in what I'm saying, and that's because as a beginner you do not have the experience, so you don't know what the client's going to ask. Even if they ask something, you don't know what the answer is going to be. I
Yeah.
still have a book where before I meet a client, I literally write out every scenario that they're
Oh
going
my
to
God,
ask.
I did that as well.
Yeah, right. Like
Yeah.
hi, I'm learned, this is my intro. Like it's to the point where I want to read from the book, but the conversation never goes that way. And
Yeah.
then I start to get panicky, and I'm like, okay, if the client says the budget is too high, this is what I'm gonna say. No, I just be like, oh,
Mm.
okay, I'll think about it. It's just like you cannot script a lot of the things. And in
Mm.
sales, mainly, once your confidence comes up, is mainly because of the experience that you have. It's the clients that you worked with, the projects that you work with,
Yeah.
and you gain this experience of just leading the conversation down the path that you want to,
Because you
right?
know what you're talking about, right? Like,
Yeah, and that
yeah.
goes with like Webflow as well. Like if you're looking for a job or you want to be a freelancer for an agency, if you don't know what you're talking about, your confidence is going to be very low, right? You're going to be like stammering, going to be sweating. You're going to sound, it's very easy for somebody to pick that up just from the body language, from the way
Yeah.
we talk. Even this podcast, for example, I think if you watch our first video, like the way we speak is like so uncomfortable, right? Like I cringe like
Yeah.
whenever I watch it because you're so uncomfortable, and that shows on the screen. But then once
Yeah.
you get this experience of like talking in front of the camera, talking in front of a mic,
Yeah.
that becomes second nature. And then maybe a year from now, when we look at this video, we'll be like, oh my god, that's so cringe. Why do I sound like that?
Yeah, definitely. And um is this also applies to like technical stuff as well. So,
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
you can read as much. Like I think this comes into teaching. Like you can watch as many YouTube videos about Webflow and all this stuff. Like,
yeah,
but I think the only true, like, genuine, authentic way that you can learn is through doing an experience, which is why, like, I always preach to everyone, like, just stop thinking too much, keep it stupid simple, which
yeah.
was lesson 4. Let me just put it up. Like, keep it
Yeah,
stupid simple and just start. Like, just start. Like, don't think too much about it, and you learn along the way. And I think
yeah,
that is the best, like, way to learn. And even, like, for example, like, confidence comes from experience. Just to give like a real life example of what I went through. I remember like one of my first ever sales calls. The client sent me like a brief, and I think they were talking about like a style guide or like something like that. I'm not really too sure. But then I was like, what the hell is a style guide? Like, I was like so confused. I was like, you know what? I can't be. I was researching. I'm just gonna jump into the call and whatever, right?
yeah,
And when I jumped into the call, like they were asking questions about the style guide and like the content. I was like, I didn't read it, so I was like, oh yeah, man, I read it. I read it. Obviously, I was lying, right? But then
yeah,
that made me learn. Although I knew that I was meant to read the brief properly, that made me learn. Like, okay, now no matter what sales calls you do, make sure that you read the brief properly.
yeah,
And yeah, like people could have told me that before. I still would have not done that. The only truly way I learned is by me, making a mistake and failing technically at that sales call.
yeah. And also
That's the way I
the
learned.
confidence, the confidence also builds to the point where you are confident in saying no, or you don't know how to do something, right? When
Mhm.
you're a beginner or when you're starting out, when a client asks, oh, have you done this, is I've done this so many times, I'm like, yeah, I know how to do it, but I have no fucking clue on what to do. And
Yeah.
then I end up like sort of trying to learn something that I've never done before. But then
Mm,
now, because I can be like, no, we have not done it, but I'm sure we can figure it out. Like that sort of
yeah.
confidence comes because you have these experiences.
Yeah, I think that's like comes across as more confident than if you just say you
Yeah.
have done it before,
Yeah, it's
like
like, hey,
because you're
look, this is
confident in
way.
yourself that you can do it, right? So
Yeah. And
like,
then imagine
yeah,
imagine you say you can do it, and then they realize halfway through
you
the
can't.
project, like
Yeah.
you have no idea what you're talking about. That reduces the respect they have for you. Whereas
Mm,
in the front of the call, you can say, hey, nope, this is way too technical for us. We can figure it out if you want to, or you're happy to find someone else. Again, it come I think we talk about it in a different episode. It's like confidence comes when you know what you're talking about, and it also helps other people, especially your clients, to know that okay, this guy know what he's talking about, even though
mm,
he doesn't know certain things. Like, let's say they ask you to do 3D design, you have no idea, but you're confident, you can say, yeah, we can figure it out if you're
yeah,
willing to. They're more likely to give it to you than somebody who's already done it, because
yeah,
you're just
and
being
yeah.
honest with them.
Yeah, and even like just to add on to that, even like the experts of Webflow, whatever, right? They're not gonna know every single thing. Like, I
Yeah,
mean, I'm sure that Joseph Berry, he won't know about, for example, how to build like how to integrate React with Webflow. Maybe it's a possibility. Although
yeah,
Joseph Berry is one of the best Webflow developers out there, he's not
yeah,
gonna know every single thing, right? So
yeah,
it just goes to show that you'll never know everything. It's
yeah,
okay to
and
not
that's
know
fine.
something
Yeah,
and just be honest about it, right?
yeah,
And yeah. That's what I would
confidence.
say. And I just while we were talking, Vim, I just added one more banner called bonus lesson. And this is like
Bruh, how dare
one
you?
this is one lesson that I was just thinking of while we were talking. And it's um patience. Like I think that is one thing that I didn't have at the beginning was patience. Like
Yeah.
stop focus. I know things we were talking
I
about
think I think I
before,
think
right?
we still touch that line every
Yeah.
often here and there. You're like, oh my god, I'm not growing, but then you're like, chill, man.
Yeah. Yeah. I
We
always
literally
do. I
had a
always
conversation earlier. We're like, oh, I want to grow, I want to do that. And you're like, just chill, man. Patience.
Yeah, it's like it takes time. Yeah, I'm naturally I'm just a very impatient guy. If I want to do something, I want
Yeah.
to do it like straight away.
It's
Like
giving you a
I'm just
lesson earlier.
yeah. So like one thing that you have to, even though you're not a naturally patient person like myself, you have to kind of force yourself to be patient. Just
Yeah.
have the knowledge in your mind that all of this stuff, if you wanna like all of this stuff takes time. And one thing that like I think I've heard someone say, I think it was that Chamath guy. I forgot his second name. His second name really long, but he's like this really popular guy. His name is
Hmm.
Chamath something like Paripov or something like that. I'm not really too sure. But he's like this
Oh.
like really he's like this billionaire startup guy, founder, whatever. And Angel List, the company.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Angel List, like he owns it, right? So
Oh,
yeah,
okay.
so he like preaches a lot. And what he said is like the amount of time it took you like to become, let's say it takes you like 6 months to make 100,000 pounds, right? That 6 months is your half life of your business. So every 3 months after that, if you don't like do your job properly, every 3 months your business is going to reduce by half. It's going to become to 50,000, and eventually it's going to reduce and reduce and reduce. So I think we talked about this before. The faster you become like successful, the faster it's possible that you have your downfall, right?
Wait,
But the
this is what I
longer
told you earlier.
yeah, this is what you told me earlier, and I just
And you didn't
realized this
credit me
whole
for this. You credit that guy.
okay, cause sorry guys, I'm gonna credit Vim on it now. But yeah, it's true. Like Vim also said this, and I was gonna get to like you said like the faster you build something, the what's it called? The faster it's likely to fail, right? But then the
Yeah.
slower, if you take your time and make sure everything's done
What's
properly,
the rush,
and
right?
don't skip any steps. Like
Yeah. And I
let's say
think
even if it
a
takes you
very
10 years, it will take 10 years for that business to
a
fail.
very simple example is all the startups that pop up, right? they
Mm,
they they run and they build, for example, Deliveroo, right? They make a Deliveroo is a UK based food delivery service. They should be making a profit, but they're making a loss. They're still in the
mm.
loss, and they won't be making a
Are they?
profit until next yeah.
Even I didn't know
And the
that.
thing is, they earn billions of dollars, and in the pandemic they doubled their 2019 income, right? Their revenue, but yet they still make a loss. It's because this whole startup idea is like, let's build and grow as big as we can,
Yeah, they put
and
out these
then
like crazy discounts,
it's
right? And like
yeah, and then no, it's because they spend a lot of money on marketing and hiring
mm,
and tech and app and all this stuff. They spend way more than they earn because they want to grow, right? They also sell a lot of things at cost. For example, Uber Eats, a lot of the deliveries that they do are at cost, meaning that they make a loss for every delivery that they make. But the thing
mm,
is, this idea of a quote unquote business is not what businesses should be, right? You should be profitable. You should, be long sustaining, like you can people can argue like, oh yeah, you can sell your company to another company and then you can leave, like an exit. And these are all
Mm,
relatively sort of modern ideas since like the dot-com bubble, where you build, you grow, you look like you're some big ass company, and then you sell your company to someone, you cash out. But something like web design and a service-based industry, you can do it,
yeah,
but
it can't be
it,
rushed. Yeah.
yeah, but why do you want to rush? Like, are you gonna die in like the
Mm,
next 10 years or something like that? Like, I think the whole, I think Ali Abdul says it well, is enjoy the journey and not the destination. Like, journey is part of the destination or something like that, he says.
journey over
But
destination.
yeah, like you
Yeah.
enjoy the process, right? When you want to think back at it, you want to think, ah, I had so much free time, I was enjoying what I
Mm,
was doing, I was waking up, I had control in my business. Now imagine you're so impatient, you want to build all of this thing, and it comes crashing down and you're broke and you have no
yeah.
money, you have no savings, nothing like that. And then you look back at it like, oh man, I could have done it better. Like, again,
If
patience.
you just took your time and
Yeah,
really
just
thought things
patient,
through,
right? Like
right?
business takes time to build, profit takes times to come. Your prices will increase only if you have patience, and the likelihood of you succeeding only exists if you're patient enough to sustain your business,
Yeah.
for the next 5 years or 10 years.
Yeah. Cool. Awesome. So that was our 5 lessons plus like our
Like a
bonus lesson that I
bonus.
threw in there.
Yeah.
So like just as our final thoughts, I think I forgot to mention something in the disclaimer is like don't compare. I think this is like a bonus lesson in itself, but it's like don't compare like our lessons to yours. Like we might not have
Yeah.
the same, and I
We
think
might have just
comparison is
skipped
like
some of the things. Yeah.
yeah, we might have like skipped some of the things as well. And it's like I think this is another lesson that don't compare yourself to, for example, us. Like you're watching us, like you look at what we do, what we're doing, and you compare yourself to us. You're like, oh, they're doing this. Why am I not doing that? They have this. Why don't I have that? And I think we even before this call, Vim, we were like talking about Webflow and the entire industry in itself. And I feel like
Yeah.
we were like
Gossiping.
low key kind of comparing ourselves to like other people and what they're doing. And that is good
And
in order for you to evaluate yourself. But at the end of
yeah.
the day, you shouldn't let that get to you and let that hinder your performance and what you're doing and stuff
Yeah.
like that. So yeah, stop, don't compare yourself. And yeah, these lessons are just for
Not to self.
just what we learned, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Awesome. All right, guys.
Quick.
Those are our 5 lessons plus like a couple bonus ones. If you did enjoy the video, make sure that you leave a like. If you have, any other lessons that you learned yourself that we
Did
missed out, make sure
wait,
you drop
did
a
we
comment.
did we reach our like goal last week?
Oh, that's
Let
a
me
good
check.
question. Maybe you
Let
should
me
check that.
quickly pull that up.
I don't think we did, but
What was it again? 20, isn't it?
20, yeah.
Oh, let's see. Oh, four more, bro. 16.
Oh, 4 more. Okay,
Oh,
okay, everyone, let's try to get 20 likes on this video. And
yeah.
just 4 more
That's
people,
it.
guys, just please like the
Just
previous
four
video as
more.
well,
Just four
just so
more.
we can get 20 likes. But
Yeah.
yeah, guys, those are our 5 lessons. If you did enjoy it, make sure you leave a like. If you have any other lessons, make sure you drop a comment. And if you have any other video ideas, like anything that you want us to
Oh
talk
no,
about, make sure
I
you drop
wanna
a
ask
comment as
them,
well.
like, comment down what lesson that you learned. Maybe
Yeah.
5 lessons that you have learned. I'm quite curious to see what.
Yeah, we're curious as well. And
Yeah.
yeah, guys, thank you for
Cool.
watching. Make sure you subscribe and turn on the bell notification button. And we'll see you next week. Thank you for watching, guys. Bye bye.
All right. Bye bye.